Hello OSA, welcome to another episode of OSA TV and another segment of our running series, What is a Fish? Today we're going to be talking about the Siluridae, the Silurid catfishes. These catfish radiate all the way from Europe, all the way through Asia, and they include a bunch of different really cool catfish that are adapted to all kinds of situations, including the giant Wells catfish, which is this giant eel-like catfish that eats all kinds of dogs, pigeons, your Aunt Bertha, everything. But today we're going to be most concerned about a small section of Silurid catfishes that radiate out from Laos, Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, and around that coastal area. So this is the glass catfish. There are a couple of catfish that are called the glass catfish, but for the most part, we only have this one smaller species in the hobby. The rest are relatively rare, if not kept often, and also a lot more aggressive, larger, unfavorable for captivity. In the counter regard, we have this wonderful glass catfish species of our very own. As you can see, they're called the glass catfish because they are completely transparent. Their body is completely without pigment. Most of their organs are chambered around that head of theirs, so that's where their pigment is. That's where you can see whether or not they've had a meal and what they've eaten, and you can also see their heart. So you think, why are they transparent? Well, these guys are from very turbid backwater and backflood areas. They're not used to a lot of flow. They're used to a lot of turbidity in the water, and they just want to blend in with the rest of that blurry water so that any particular prey items don't necessarily see them coming. You really want to keep at least 5 or 6 of them in a school. They're really dependent on being comforted by each other. They don't really school with other species very well. They want to be with other glass catfish. As you can see, the ones that we have here are very tightly together, and as you can see, they're seeking out whatever shelter they can find in the aquarium. So I recommend having some tannins for these guys to make them a little bit more comfortable. I recommend having 5 or 6 of them at the same time so that they are all schooling as the same unit. Well-aged aquariums are really the way to go. I would recommend a planted aquarium that has lots of plants, lots of aged biofilters and wood, so that you have lots of copepods, lots of microworms, lots of things that are going to be supplementing these catfish because they are nocturnal feeders and you might not necessarily be feeding them during the right parts of the day, and it's very important that any uneaten feed turns into the surplus of critters that they can graze upon when they're comfortable. They are a little bit more reclusive and you might need to cater to that. You might not see them necessarily all the time, but once you get a school very comfortable, they can be really charismatic, relatively peaceful, so they do well in a community tank, but they are very charismatic and really cool additions to an aquarium because there aren't many catfish that you can really put in a community aquarium outside the Corydoras or things like a Plecostomus. So Silurid catfishes, some of them get mammothly huge, some of them are hugely aggressive, but for the most part, the aquarium industry is familiar with the humble, spunky, majestic, fun little glass cat. Comment, subscribe, feed the algorithm like you would that glass cat slurping down a chironomid or a bloodworm on the muddy riverbanks off Bangkok or something. We'll see you next time.